Hi, I'm Akanksha Savanal, and this is the Made for More podcast, where we have aspirational conversations with inspirational voices. Today, my guest is Sukruti Kohli, an illustrator with a mission to make the world a better place. She illustrates to encourage people using a good mix of powerful words and her art to highlight hope, gratitude, and mental well being. Her page, Dock of Happiness, is a reservoir of positivity and has a huge following of people who connect with her for her art and dialogue. If you watched Bombay Begums on Netflix, chances are those illustrations caught your eye. And Sukruti is the mastermind behind them. Without wasting any more time, Sukruti, I welcome you to our episode today.
Thank you so much, Akanksha. This is such a great opportunity for me, and my greatest good fortune to be part of this podcast.
Thank you so much. We are so excited to see how this conversation unfolds. So, without wasting any more time, I have a bunch of questions. So, I'd like to start with the very obvious one, which is if you could just run us through your journey and tell us if art and illustration was something you were always passionate about, or was it something that you just stumbled upon?
Okay, that's, I think it's the best question to ask people who don't know me or don't know my journey. So I'm so fortunate. I'm born into a family full of artists, and art is in my blood. And I'm blessed with this great skill, and then of course mentored by my own father. But till a period of time, my art was more of commercial work that I did. My art was more about impressing people. My art was more about selling something, okay? But from the last, these 3 years that I have, started this Instagram page, Dock of Happiness, I think it has become more about value creation. It has become more about my art being able to say things which are difficult to say, and but easy to understand when it is said with an illustration. So it has become an art with purpose. So I would say that I wasn't born. I never thought that my art would actually evolve into something like that. In fact, I never thought I would evolve into a person, that I am, right? But as, things moved on, and as an artist, how the experiences of my own life were able to change my perspective, I wanted that my art should also have the same power. So that is my journey.
That's amazing. So, your family has played like a big role in shaping, your personality as an artist then.
Yes, absolutely.
That's amazing. Art, I believe, is a very underrated yet very powerful tool of expression. I feel like it hasn't been given so much credit that it deserves. So, if you were to maybe recommend a beginner who was getting into art, how would you sort of suggest they go about it?
Yeah. So a lot of people, young people, they come to me to ask, what kind of, how do I get into art? So I think I remember, my father telling me this many, many, many years ago, that to become a great artist, first you have to become a great human being. And there's a profound reason. And by great human being, it doesn't mean that you become Mother Teresa or, you start, like donating stuff in. It's not about that, Great human being basically means somebody who is always ready to polish their life. Somebody is always ready to improve their life. Okay. Somebody is always ready to seek. Somebody is always ready to, change their perspective and not be like, stuck in that same thing. So, and why did he say that? Was because I feel there is something more, not only just, drawing as an artist, even a writer, even a chef, even, somebody who designs clothes, anybody who is creating something, any creator, even content creator for that matter, we all have to first remember that we are human beings. So that connects with the audience, or that connect with, your artwork will only come through when that humanistic angle is there. So
Absolutely.
that is why it is so important. I feel that, and I think that lesson is for life. And later I read that in a book also. Somebody else also, said the same thing. And I think I resonate with that. So I think one advice to anybody who's beginning to be an artist is that, first become a great human being, and great artists or great art skills will follow.
Oh, wow. But that's some great advice that you shared with us. And that being said, I feel like you said, like a human connection is so important no matter what medium you use, because that is only what becomes a source of or a point of contact between your end customer or your followers and you. Like we've sensed that too as a brand, where if there are topics that we talk about like self love or mental well being. Now mental well being is something that is a common cause that both you and I share. And I feel like it's very important to have people feel heard more than anything, because that's only when they'll probably be okay to be a little more vulnerable towards you. I mean, that's something I see a lot in your art as well, especially on your page. So I feel like
Yes.
you're doing like something amazing and helping people understand themselves better, if nothing else. And more power to you.
Thank you, Akanksha. I am always so happy to do anything for Dock of Happiness. And the reason is I never say no for anything, any interview or anything. But when it is someone who is completely aligned with what I'm doing, it becomes even more special. So I'm so dancing with joy, in my heart for, doing this podcast with you. So thank you so much for considering me and for thinking that we are together aligned in one direction.
Oh, absolutely. Like that was definitely one of the things that, drew me towards you when we were kind of finalizing our list. Coming to our next question. In trying times like the pandemic, now more than ever, we've realized the importance of keeping faith or instilling hope. So, how do you reckon our listeners could instill hope in times when, there isn't much clarity? We don't know what the future holds. What do you think people could possibly do to hold on to hope?
Yeah. So, Akanksha, what this pandemic has taught us, and unfortunately, it had to take a pandemic to teach this to us. I really feel that being hopeful every moment is something which is not possible, humanly not possible. And even as Doctor of Happiness, a lot of people think that I'm some superhuman being who never has any obstacle in her life, or I'm somebody who's always always ready to fight, whatever obstacle is there in my life. But it's not. The truth of the matter is that Doctor of Happiness is not like a title that, I have accomplished or I have become an expert in happiness, Rather, what it means is basically that I am someone who believes that every day cannot be, filled with hope. Every day cannot be filled with happiness.
Correct.
But more important than that is to keep moving forward. More important than, getting stuck in a situation, it is very important to keep looking ahead, So I feel in times of hopelessness, I had made an illustration also on it. Maybe people can go back and see it on the Instagram page, where I used a, toothpaste tube. And the toothpaste tube says hopelessness, and hope is coming out. Only hope, only lessness is left on the tube. And what it basically means is, how we squeeze toothpaste out of a toothpaste tube, how do we squeeze it, right? We like put the ends and we really press it, and we make sure that every ounce is used, right? It's something like that. Hope is something like that. Sometimes you need to take out hope from a hopelessness situation, and you need, and even that little bit of hope, that little ray of sunshine can really transform the darkness that we are living in. And we don't really need too much hope to brighten our lives. Sometimes even just a small, change of thought, change of perspective can really bring that gush of hopefulness.
Correct.
So I feel, every moment is not about being hopeful, but looking forward, keep moving forward is something. I think that is how I would define that, how to find hope in hopelessness.
That's actually a beautiful thought because, like you said, I don't think every day is the same. So it's really important to maybe just focus on the brighter side. And there may be days when you're low and you don't feel like doing anything good, and that's okay. But you can just bounce back the next day and
100%.
find that ray of hope.
Absolutely.
So
Every day is not sunny. Every day is not rainy. So nature is teaching us so many things. So I feel, one day at a time, lady. One day at a time. That's what I keep telling myself when I get overwhelmed. Just one day at a time.
actually, that really helps with keeping anxiety at bay as well. Because, again, the pandemic has taught us to give a lot more importance to mental well-being and just keeping our, mental health in check for that matter. And now we understand that more than ever, right? So, is there some kind of an internal check that you do with yourself every day to sort of ensure that, your mind is at ease and, you're not getting overwhelmed? If yes, if you could just share some of those tips for our listeners as well.
So my thermometer to check is how I react to my family, how I react to people I love the most. So if I am agitated and if I am, my decision making becomes very like snappy and very like, either it will become really slow. So I think that ways I know that my my ego is at work and not my higher self. So I think when you know it, and you can be in denial. You can say that no, I'm fine, but inside only you know that today you're not in your best. You're not in your best version. So I think at that time, going back and doing things that make me more, I can really tap into my highest, life potential. I do all those things. So one, of course, is meditation. Exercising really helps me. Any kind of physical exercise really gives me a lot of. So it takes me a lot of push to do it. But after I complete it, I feel that I've accomplished something, and it gives me something to look forward to. And I also practice Buddhism, so my practice really helps me. I love to draw. Clearly, I'm an artist, so sometimes I just don't want to draw about mental health. I just want to do some sketching, and I just want to paint, or I just want to, just do just something, something,
just mindless activity.
Yeah, and these little acts, I feel, then tune me back into who I am. Of course, reading books, as you can see. Of course, our listeners can't see it. So I'm sitting in my studio, and I have I'm so privileged and so fortunate to have so many books. And I keep adding one book after a few months to my collection. And I love to read books on philosophy. I love to read books on motivation, and to really understand, and even psychology for that matter. So that also keeps me attuned. It brings me back to my mission. It brings me back to that question that what am I really doing? If this is what I'm going to do, then how am I going to run a page like Dock of Happiness? So it's like almost like a responsibility.
So it brings you back to your purpose in a sense.
Yes.
Actually, the books that you mentioned, like the topics that you like to read, is something I have in common as well. So, what are the fun activities that you would maybe recommend someone to do that are easier for their mind? That, like we just spoke about, I'm sure like mindless sketching sometimes, even if it's abstract, it doesn't need to make sense to everyone. But are there any other activities that you could recommend that, really help people get closer to who they are truly?
Sure. So I had these live chats during the pandemic, and one of the psychologists shared this thing with me, and I would like to quote her here. And I really think this is something brilliant, and it does work with most of the people, and I hope people can actually go back and use this. So she said that using your hands, to do an activity engages your mind. Okay, and of course that doesn't mean using your fingers to scroll on Instagram. That's not counted. But doing an activity which engages your mind. Example: if you're baking a cake, so your hands are doing something, your mind is doing something. You're completely engaged in that act. So she said that when your hands are engaged, your mind will be at peace.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So it is very important to do those kind of mindful activities, and you can choose among so many of them. I think they are all around us, So one example that I can surely share with all of you is that when I am feeling, like I'm feeling anxious and I'm feeling overwhelmed, I start to clean my, shelf, my bookshelf. I like to put it in an order, and I like to, since I also print bags and, I have so many diaries, that I print, etc. So, to clean them up and put them back in their place gives me really a mind space to get out of that zone where I am, and from a negative zone, I get into a much better, calmer way. So, or example is playing with the dog. You're using your hands, you're mindfully, playing with the dog, right? That is also something that can create that positive mind space. So anything, even mindful coloring, for example, small acts like these where you can, take out prints from the, internet, or you can probably buy some books which have these, small segments, and you can, put your sketch pens in it, or you can, do a pencil color, whatever resonates with you. But as long as you are utilizing, I personally feel, Akanksha, that even folding clothes, after the laundry,
yes,
is sometimes very calming. Absolutely. And it can really help. I don't really enjoy it so much, but I know a lot of people who find the detergent smell and that clean smell, and they like to fold that laundry, and it makes them feel calmer. Correct. So I again feel that if you're using your hands and you're engaging into something where you're fully, your mind is fully like into it, cooking a recipe or something, I think it's just so amazing.
Actually, in the lockdown, personally, like I never used to have time before the lockdown to really like slow down. I tried mandala art, like I tried making them, and I felt like that again, because your hands are being used, you need precision, like for every line, every curve. Like it kind of almost forced me to slow down and get attuned with my mind and come back to who I was. So that's again one activity that I'd like to add to the list. That
and when the task gets over, the endorphins that you release also gives you that kind of happiness,
Correct.
So it's deeply connected, using your hands, engaging your mind, and once you finish that task, correct. And the task is not to impress anybody, the task is not to bake that cake and take everybody's compliments, the task is to just bake.
And just have fun, I think.
And have fun, enjoy the process,
Yeah.
So sometimes we get too much caught up with putting things on Instagram, getting those likes, so much of validation we need.
Correct.
So sometimes I think we just need to enjoy the process. Don't care about.
Do it for yourself.
Do it for yourself.
So a lot of talk on the internet these days is about, having a routine, like a wellness routine or a physical wellness routine and mental as well. So is there a routine that you follow, like for a morning routine or a night routine before you fall asleep?
So, this is going to be a big shocker, but I have the most indisciplined life, and I'll explain the reason. So I'm somebody who, was told always, and, like in our society, a lot of people are told, are told this at a young age, focus on one thing, when you're multi-talented or you have multi-interest in things, you're told एक चीज पे focus करो, एक ही चीज करो. Somehow, Akanksha, I've never been that kind of a person. I've always been somebody who would work night. I used to go to my college from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Before that, I used to do theatre, amateur theatre in Chandigarh, and I used to, 5 in the morning, I used to go attend the workshop, create a play with my friends, with my team, go to college. After 5 o'clock, I used to go to an agency, do internship, even if it was only for a couple of hours, sometimes bunking my college and going a little before. Then coming back home and then taking tuitions for school students. And I'm not saying this to tell you that, I'm so cool. This is the way I thrive. And it took me many years to actually accept the fact that I'm somebody who thrives on doing many things. So as of now, Akanksha, I'm a freelance illustrator. I run Dock of Happiness, as you know. I am a visiting faculty with the college.
Oh, wow.
I am also working in an organization which works for the happiness of the corporates. So I'm a part of House of Cheer. I'm part of Happiness.me. So, and of course, I run my house. I have an 8-year-old son. I have a family to look after. There's so many responsibilities. So it really is endless, but that's how I thrive.
Correct.
And because I'm a freelancer, my, other than my college and, my work, the other aspects are quite, like a freelancer. I mean, it's
flexible.
Sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not there. It's flexible. It's, indisciplined, whatever you can call it, right? But that is how I thrive. And that is, that is how I work. So I feel that at times when I need to focus on creating some work which has a deadline, I might not sleep on time in order to finish it. But I always have planned it, So my everyday is different. My every day looks different from the day that, has just gone by. And so that is why I feel planning is very important for me. So my day is planned way ahead. And that is why I have a diary. In fact, when we had, exchanged messages, etc., because I multitask, Akanksha, I have this really bad habit of which I'm really trying to change, which I'm really working on, is to overcommit.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm all over the place, so I overcommit. So I have kept a diary wherein I write, and I'm very, very, bad with numbers. So because I'm aware of it, I can, work on it.
Correct.
So, so that is how I allot my time. I'm, pretty planned that way. So I would say my everyday is disciplined, but my everyday doesn't look like a routine.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense to anybody.
No, that's fair. I think it's about also being more aware of, like you said, what floats your boat, right? Like in your case, that multitasking is something that you thrive on. So if someone knows that they get overwhelmed with a lot of tasks, it may be nice to maybe journal and make a to-do list. So you're sure you're kind of picking out the more important things. And everyone has to kind of motor through to figure out what their way of life is. So I think this has definitely helped.
Yeah, it's totally also. I had been shamed for so many years, and now I'm, totally okay with the fact that I can do. Somebody asks me what you do. Sometimes I need to fill a form, what I do. Sometimes I also think, what do I do? Because there's so many things I do.
Correct.
But that's who I am, and that's what makes me me, right?
Yeah.
So I am, every routine, every day is different, but everything is planned in my diary, all the dates and times, so that I don't goof up. So that's how I manage it. And another thing that I want to share with you is that when I multitask, a lot of times people ask me that, don't you get overwhelmed, and isn't that, one of the reasons for anxious thoughts? So I don't multitask. I am doing multiple work, but as of now, if I'm giving an interview to you, this is all that I'm doing in this moment. I'm not going to check my phone. I'm not going to think what Eklavya is doing outside. I'm not going to worry about what we have to make in the dinner. I'm not going to do all of that. I'm in this moment right now with you. So you are the most important person right now for me, right? So that is, so the secret to doing multiple things is not doing multiple things at one time. It is doing one thing at one time, but maybe multiple things in a day.
Correct. That
I don't
makes
know.
sense. That does, because you're also basically learning to be more present in the moment and like probably make the most of where you are right now. So this actually reminds me of that one dialogue from Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, where she says, every time you'll keep running, you'll miss something. So instead, where you are, why don't you make the most of it? So that was
I love that.
And that was like great advice, I think. Now we're quickly going to hop on to a fun rapid fire that we have planned. Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay. So what's your to-go drink on a day that you feel low?
Chai.
Adrak wali?
Okay, adrak wali. I'm okay with adrak.
What book are you currently reading?
Okay, I want to read The Atomic Habits by James Clear, but I haven't still got the chance to buy it. So it's on my list. So very, very soon I will be reading it. I'm late to the party, I know. But
I don't know if you'll believe it. I read about this book 5 minutes before I called you. So we are quite in sync.
That is fine. Akanksha, is that a sign? I
think we both need to get on it.
Yeah. James Clare, wherever you are and you're listening to this, you have just shown us a sign.
What is your to-go outfit?
I am most comfortable in my pajamas.
That is dress code for the pandemic. So absolutely.
Absolutely. And I think after the pandemic, it's very difficult to wear jeans.
Oh man, tell me about it. How would you describe your style?
Of art?
Yeah. And this case, we'll go with art.
Okay. So my style is to first undergo whatever I am drawing. So in order to draw something inspiring, I will first have to not zabardasti undergo through it, but because I've gone through it, then it gives me the fuel to draw about it. So my style is to first undergo the suffering and then, illustrate about it. So I think my life I'm so fortunate to be always fighting with so many obstacles, whether they are inside of me or outside of me, that I get so many ideas to draw. So that's my style.
Spoken like a true artist. If you had to name one source of inspiration or one person who inspires you, who would that be?
Okay, I'm actually inspired by so many people. Anyone who can bring a smile on my face, anybody who can tell me an encouraging story about their life. I get encouraged by everybody. I get encouraged by my staff. I get encouraged by my 8-year-old son. So I have to tell you this, Akanksha, and I'm saying this for all the listeners. For the first time, I want to share a small little story with you. And Eklavya, my son, has been wanting to have a pet. Okay, and me and my husband are not like animal people, and whatever. We've been grown in, we grew into a family where parents told us, इनसे दूर रहो, dog से डर लगता है, whatever, animals से दूर रहो, whatever. And we had some incidents in our family, where somebody was bitten and then blah blah things happened, whatever. So we've been conditioned to kind of stay away from pets, okay? And Eklavya is naturally very fond of animals, okay? From the day I think he started to go down and play, he's always been very friendly towards cats and animals and whatever, dogs. And so for the past 2 years, he's been wanting us to he's been after us, but in a most polite manner, no zid, no nothing. And we've been thinking and, we've been, whatever. And finally we gave in, after 2 years, and he said, chalo, theek hai, let's try it, let's see. And then he says, so we asked him, which breed do you want? And Akanksha, he said that I want to adopt a dog.
Wow,
Okay.
that's amazing coming from an 8-year-old.
Yeah, and I was like, where are you learning all this from? Because you are locked up in a house because
Mm-hmm.
of the lockdown. And where are you learning all these things? Because nobody is teaching you all of this for sure.
Correct.
But I think what my husband and I, we got the dog, we adopted, we just adopted a dog,
Oh,
and his name is
wow, cute.
Tintin. And we are still learning new things, and we're new parents, right? Dog parents. But that's what I want to share with you, Kanksha. What I've learned in through this journey of Dog of Happiness is inspiration, motivation can even come, a lesson, life lesson can come from an 8-year-old as well. So me
Correct.
and my husband have learned a valuable lesson from Iklavya, who told us, when we told him, he said, you really want to adopt, street dog looks very different. All your building friends, all your other friends have adopted, they're breed animals, somebody is a whatever, XYZ, and they all look very good, etc. So,
Hmm.
ऐसा ना हो जब वो बड़ा हो जाए, you feel that, you know, my
Wanted
dog is not
something
that good
else.
looking, right?
Correct.
So as parents, we're trying to, and you know what he turns around and he says, looks don't matter, mom. And there our hearts went.
If this
And
was something people could learn at a young age like this, I think their journey or their relationship with themselves would be so different, because the
yes, yes.
society has constantly just taught us to put ourselves down, feel like we're not enough, not worthy. I love your son already. I can't wait to meet him.
That's what I'm telling you. I mean, I am motivated and inspired by anybody. I am so open to talking to an 8-year-old, 5-year-old, 80-year-old. Lessons can come from any and everyone. So I'm learning now. I'm learning from Tintin also. So
Oh,
that's
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 sweet.
that's what I feel. Yeah.
And our last question, because this is the Made for More podcast, is do you have a moment or an experience that you'd like to share with our listeners where you realized you were made for more?
Okay. So the journey of Dock of Happiness started many years ago when I was teaching, in a college, and I had an interaction with, people who are 18, 19-year old, right? And while talking to them, while taking, taking their class, or sometimes talking after class, right? Maybe talking about the project, then you get to know the student. And while talking, I realized that there was something more I needed to do
Mm-hmm.
other than teaching my own subject. Because I realized that the youth, not only in India, all over the world, young people are seen as inexperienced.
Mm.
Young people are judged for not being, mature, or being frivolous, or there are these stereotypes that a lot of people have, और या फिर ऐसा भी सोचते हैं लोग कि, in your college days, it's the best time of your life. And of course, it is the best time of your life, but it may not be best time for everyone.
Correct.
So a lot of people are going through a lot of things in that tender age as well. It's not, glamour and all of that is okay, but it's not for everybody. And sometimes we really have to see it from that. I think young people are suffering also equally.
Correct.
But we don't see their suffering because they're quiet or they don't express.
Mm.
So at that moment, Akanksha, I think my life changed after having an interaction with this one student where I felt something needs to be done. When that person spoke about their mental health, when that person spoke about how people at home are not able to understand the situation, she herself cannot understand her situation. That moment I knew that I cannot help beyond a point, right? Because I'm a professor, I'm a visiting faculty, whatever. But there was an urge inside me that I want to help you. I want to be with you. I want to give you that reassurance that you're looking for. And of course, followed by multiple incidents, then of course, which slowly brought me to that, but I think the turning point would be that time. And I even remember the spot where I was. I remember everything. That was the turning point.
That's beautiful. And like, imagine what this one interaction with a student did. Now you're helping, with the help of your Instagram page, you're helping so many people, I think, build a better relationship with themselves, understand more about everything, being okay with asking for help. and to also take professional help if necessary to safeguard our mind. And that is such a big thing that you're doing. And I'm so glad that you were able to spend this time with us and share your story. And for everyone who would like to find you, would you like to tell them how they can find you, whether it's on Instagram or your website, if you'd like to share your credentials?
Yes, absolutely. You can go on Instagram and type Doc of Happiness, and there you will see my page, and you can follow me, or you can send me a DM, or you can look at all the illustrations and reels that I create to motivate, to keep your wellness up.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us. And I'm looking forward to seeing what else you do using the page. And I hope you have a great day.
Akanksha. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. And you've just been so amazing and so patient with me. So very, very tight, warm hug to you and to everybody who has been part of this.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Like this Sochcast? Tune in for more with the Sochcast app from the Google Play Store.